Class 11th, subject physics, 9th chapter optics. From this chapter, let us see what is refraction of light. The change in direction of ray of light when it passes from one transparent medium to another transparent medium is called as the refraction of light. The laws of refraction are the incident ray, refracted ray and normal to that surface lies in the same plane. The refracted ray and the incident ray lie on opposite sides of the normal, and according to Snell's law, the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is equal to constant for that given pair of two media, that is sin I upon sin R equal to constant. That constant is called as the refractive index of the refracting medium. So if you consider this refraction, the transparent medium will be having a refractive index, and that refractive index will decide the change in direction of that ray of light. So how that change, to which extent that change in direction of that ray of light takes place, that will be decided by the refractive index. Now we will have to define two types of refractive indices, and these are the absolute refractive index and relative refractive index. Now what is that absolute refractive index? The ratio of speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in given medium is called as absolute refractive index of that medium. The ratio of the speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in given medium is called as absolute refractive index of that medium. If C represents the speed of light in vacuum and phi represents the speed of light in that given medium, then the refractive index, that is absolute refractive index of that medium, n equal to C upon V. Similarly, what is that relative refractive index? So for relative refractive index, the ratio of speed of light in medium 1 to the speed of light in medium 2 is called as refractive index of medium 2 with respect to medium 1. The ratio of speed of light in medium 1 to the speed of light in medium 2 is called as the refractive index of medium 2 with respect to medium 1. It will be given by the formula, that is refractive index of medium 2 with respect to medium 1 will be equal to phi1 upon phi2, where phi1 is the speed of light in the first medium and phi2 is the speed of light in the second medium. That will be equal to n2 upon n1. n2 will be the refractive index of the second medium and n1 is the refractive index of the first medium. Now let us see some of the examples of refraction in our day-to-day life. So the first example is when seen from outside the bottom of water in any vessel, then the bottom of the vessel appears to be raised through some height. This is due to refraction at the plane surface of water. So if you consider the example, if the water contained in any vessel is observed from outside, then here there is a glass containing water. Now in this case, the water level is up to this point. Then if this is viewed from upwards now, then it will be observed that the bottom of this glass will be raised to some height, and this happens due to the refraction which takes place at the surface of water. Now in this case, if we observe this glass horizontally, then this will be the upper side of the liquid level. Then the distance between the liquid level and the bottom of this vessel, that is glass, will be nothing but real depth of water. But when it is viewed from upwards, at that time this bottom of the glass will be observed to be raised. It will appear to be raised to some distance in the upward direction, and therefore the depth of water will appear to be changed, to be decreased, and that depth of water will be called as apparent depth. And therefore the refractive index of water in this example will be given as refractive index of water will be equal to real depth upon apparent depth. Real depth upon apparent depth, that formula will give us the refractive index of water. So in this diagram, CD will represent the actual liquid level, AB is the base of this vessel, and therefore the real depth will be equal to AC. So AC will represent the real depth, actual depth, and when it is observed from upside, at that time the bottom will appear to be raised to PQ. Instead of AB, it will be observed at PQ, and therefore this distance or this depth PC will be nothing but the apparent depth. So real depth equal to AC, apparent depth is equal to PC. Then from this formula, that is N water, refractive index of water, is equal to real depth upon apparent depth, we can find out the refractive index of water. Now let us consider the second example. When a pencil is kept obliquely in a glass containing water, then it appears to be broken as its part in water appears to be raised. So at the surface of water, it will be observed that the pencil is broken, and therefore again let us consider this example in which a glass containing water is taken. Now in that glass, this pencil is kept obliquely, so that at the surface of the water it is observed that that pencil is broken. So along the same straight line, that pencil will not be observed. At this position at the water surface, it will be observed that it is bent or it is broken, and therefore these two examples will now explain the illustrations or the examples in our day-to-day life of that of refraction. Though we are dealing with now refraction, in the next point we will have to study what is total internal reflection, which is again based upon reflection as well as refraction. So what is that total internal reflection? So in order to explain that total internal reflection, here it is ray diagram. So this ray diagram will show the total internal reflection. So first of all, I will explain in short its construction and working, and then in detail it will be discussed. So the ray diagram shows refraction of light emerging from denser medium into the rarer medium for various angles of incidence. The angles of refraction in the rarer medium are larger than that of the corresponding angles of incidence in the denser medium. At a particular angle of incidence IC in the denser medium, the corresponding angle of refraction in rarer medium is 90 degree. Then for the angles of incidence greater than the critical angle IC the angles of refraction become larger than 90 degree, and the ray does not enter into the rarer medium at all, but it is reflected totally into the denser medium. This phenomenon is called as total internal reflection. In general, there is always particular type of reflection and refraction, that is, there will be always partial reflection and partial refraction at the interface. So for all the angles of incidence, there is partial reflection and partial refraction at the interface. The angle of incidence IC in the denser medium is called as critical angle. Then the critical angle for pair of refracting media can be defined as that angle of incidence in the denser medium for which the angle of refraction in rarer medium is 90 degree. The critical angle will be defined as, for a pair of refracting media, the angle of incidence in the denser medium for which the angle of refraction in the rarer medium is 90 degree. So this can be now explained with the help of this diagram. In this diagram, xy represents, this is xy surface, it will represent the boundary separating the media into two different media. Below this surface xy, there will be optically denser medium having refractive index mu. So such as water or glass, that optically denser medium will be considered here. Then above this there will be optically rarer medium like air. So this xy surface will now divide the media into two parts, that is optically rarer medium and optically denser medium. The source of light from which light is emitted is kept in the denser medium. That means in this case the ray of light will first travel through the denser medium and then it will enter into rarer medium. We know that when the ray of light first travels through denser medium and then enters into rarer medium, it bends away from the normal, and therefore in this case, if O is the source of light, it will emit light in all possible directions. Now suppose the first ray OA, which is normally incident on this surface xy, and therefore directly that ray of light OA will pass through that surface without bending. It will get transmitted through it. Now let us consider the second ray of light, that is OB. OB is the second ray of light which is now obliquely incident on this surface xy at point B, so that this dotted line will represent normal to the surface to that point B, and therefore the angle between this incident ray and normal, this angle will be angle of incidence I1. This is the first angle I1, because in this case the angle of incidence and angle of refraction both will be equal to 0. Now here it is slightly increased, and that is I1. So this angle of incidence is equal to I1. Now after refraction, this ray of light, refracted ray of light, will bend away from the normal, and therefore here the angle between normal and refracted ray, that is angle of refraction R1. Here R1 will be greater than this I1. Similarly, if you go for next ray, that is OC, which is obliquely incident on the surface xy at point C, making an angle of incidence I2 which will be greater than I1. So in this case again that refracted ray will bend away from the normal, so that we will get angle of refraction as R2. Now this angle of refraction R2 will be greater than again R1 as well as I2. Again consider the next ray of light, that is OD, which is again obliquely incident on surface xy and meeting at point D. At that time, if this angle of incidence I3 is equal to IC, I3 is equal to IC, then this refracted ray will not enter into the rarer medium, but it will travel along the surface XY. That is, it is grazing along the surface XY, and therefore this ray of light which is traveling along the surface XY is called as the grazing ray. So this will be the grazing ray which is moving along the surface XY. That means here when angle of incidence is equal to IC, that is critical angle, at that time the angle of refraction in the rarer medium will be equal to 90 degree. Once the angle of incidence is equal to critical angle, the angle of refraction is equal to 90 degree. For further all these rays of light like OE, which is obliquely incident on this surface XY at point E, this refracted ray will not enter into the rarer medium, but still there will be increase in the angle of refraction, but beyond 90 degree that angle will not increase, and therefore if the angle of incidence, that is I4, is greater than this critical angle IC, instead of refracting, that ray of light will totally internally reflected in the same medium, that is denser medium, following all the laws of reflection, and therefore this phenomenon will give rise to the total internal reflection. This ray of light is totally internally reflected ray. But if you consider all these points like A, B, C, D, E, for that if you consider point B, then this dotted line will represent the partially reflected ray. So it will be partially reflected ray. Again for point C there will be partial reflection, here there will be partial reflection for point D. So like this simultaneous reflection and refraction will take place for all other points if the angle of incidence is less than or equal to critical angle. But beyond that angle of incidence, that is if the angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, then there will be no partial reflection, but there will be total internal reflection of the ray of light. So in this way the total internal reflection will take place. As angle of incidence goes on increasing, angle of refraction will go on increasing. At a particular angle of incidence, that is IC, the angle of refraction will become equal to 90 degree, so that this angle IC is called as critical angle. And if we increase the angle of incidence beyond this critical angle, then the ray of light without refracting, it will get totally internally reflected in the same denser medium. So this phenomenon is called as the total internal reflection. Now if you consider the denser medium having its refractive index equal to mu, then according to Snell's law, as there is refraction, we can use Snell's law, that is refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium equal to n2 by n1, that is equal to sin I upon sin r. But now here we have considered that denser medium as the first medium, and therefore its refractive index mu will be equal to refractive index of medium 1 with respect to medium 2, it will be written as n1 by n2. As refractive index of second medium with respect to first is n2 by n1, therefore refractive index of first medium with respect to second will be equal to n1 by n2. And here also we can write, instead of sin I upon sin r, it will be sin r upon sin I. So that will be equal to, here in this case at critical angle, that is when I3 is equal to IC, R is equal to 90 degree, and therefore here we can write in place of sin R, that is sin 90, upon sin I, that is sin IC. But sin 90 is equal to 1, and therefore we will get mu equal to 1 upon sin IC, or also it can be written as sin IC equal to 1 by mu. So this relation will be giving the refractive index related with the critical angle, that is the relation between the refractive index and the critical angle will be given by this formula mu equal to 1 upon sin IC or sin IC equal to 1 by mu. Now this total internal reflection will take place only when there will be two more conditions to have total internal reflection. The ray of light must be traveling first through denser medium and will get refracted in the rarer medium. That will be the first condition. Always the ray of light must be traveling first through the denser medium, and after refraction it will enter into the rarer medium. Second thing will be the angle of incidence. This angle of incidence must be always greater than critical angle. So I must be greater than critical angle, then and then only this total internal reflection will take place. So this will be regarding total internal reflection.